Hey folks, Al here, and we're talking blue-green kicker in Zendikar Rising Draft. So I've just laid out the commons in sort of a curve order. These are the commons that you're most interested in playing, I think, in the deck. I've obviously omitted a handful that aren't super applicable, and then a few choice uncommons. And I'm actually going to get Shell Shield in here as well. Yeah. All right. So one of the most powerful parts about this deck is that there's just a lot of good kicker cards at common, and they're actually mostly centered in blue. And one of the really powerful things about kicker cards is that they fill out your curve in your 2 or 3 drop slot, as well as your 4, 5, and 6 drop slot. So getting multiple copies of Tazim Royal Mage, for example, is really important because this is an impactful card on turn 2. It gets you on board. It gets a wizard in play for certain synergies. And then on turn 6, it's returning a spell to your hand like an Into the Royal or a Rabid Bite. So the modality of this card is super impressive. Similarly for Gnarlid Colony here. 2 mana 2/2, totally respectable on turn 2. 5 mana 4/4, Trample is a big play on turn 5. So I'm happy to draft 3 to 4 of either of these cards and play them all. And then I don't have to play cards like Turn Timber Ascetic, Cascade Seer, Canopy Baloth, Kazandu Stomper, more medium sort of top end cards. So let's go through the curve here. With the sort of tier 1 cards, I guess you could say. So we've got Bubble Snare, really removal spell. Again, modality, comes down on turn 1, locks something down that's attacked you, or makes it so the next time it does attack you, it's locked down. And for 4 mana, just straight up locks it down. Into the Royal, probably the best blue common. Bounce something for 2 mana, kick it, you get to draw a card as well. Lots of great synergy here with the Royal Mage, of course, as well as some wizard synergy that we'll get to in a little bit. Royal Mage and Gnarlid Colony, as I just talked about, are super important ones at your 2-drop and your 5 and 6-drop slot. Rabid Bite is going to be probably your best removal spell at common anyways in this color pair, so you want to be picking this one highly. I do believe it's the best green common. At 3, we've got Cunning Geyser Mage, which doubles as a 6. 3 mana 3/2 wizard. If you kick it for an additional 3, you get to bounce a creature. It could be one of your own too if it's underneath a Bubble Snare or a Nahiri's Binding or something. You can get it back to your hand and strip that removal off of it. Field Research, pretty reasonable 3-drop here for you. It's going to help you hit your land drops, and late in the game you might cast it kicked. I haven't yet, but it's certainly a nice little piece of modality to have there. And Risen Riptide, this is a big one. If you get a couple of these in play early, then casting an Into the Royal, bouncing their thing, and swinging at them for 5 or 10 or whatever is pretty gross and pretty real to go. Riptide kicked Into the Royal the next turn, kicked Gnarlid Colony the turn after that. Kicked Tazim Royal Mage getting Royal back, or kicked kicked Geyser Mage bouncing their thing, and you're just swinging for 5 like a bunch. And this is all at common. This is all stuff that you're going to be able to pick up. So I actually like Riptide quite a bit. And that's your 4-drop slot. You're not super hard up for 4s if you're drafting a good amount of Into the Royals, but you would be interested in playing Jiraga Visionary or Expedition Diviner as just solid 4 mana 3/2s. This one has flying. When it dies, you draw a card, and this one, when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Now, this one you have to have a second wizard, but as we'll see, there's a lot of common wizards that you're already interested in playing. Royal Mage, Geyser Mage, Diviner, and Jiraga Visionary themselves are wizards, so it shouldn't be too hard to turn this on. These are not super top picks for you, but you're definitely happy to put them in your deck at 4. And then 5 and 6, we're not really too interested in playing these cards, but if we have to, we will. Ideally, we want to be playing multiple Geyser Mages, Royal Mages, Gnarlid Colonies, and just kicking them on turns 5 and 6 instead of playing these cards. But these cards will do some work for you as well. And then sort of the tier 2 of commons. Shell Shield at 1 mana. This will be good if you have a bunch of stuff that cares about kicker. If you have multiple Riptides, or some of these uncommons we'll talk about later, then you may want to include one of these. It can save your creature from a removal spell as well, so look out for that one. And then at your 2-drop slot, the less modal sort of 2s, so Skyclave Squid, solid stat line. It's going to attack a couple times in the game. It's not too bad. You would play it. Dauntless Survivor, 2 mana 2/2, or it can buff something else and be a 1/1 itself. And then there are some +1/+1 counter synergies to look out for there. So this could actually be a little bit better than its face value in your deck. Or, putting a 1/1 counter on your Expedition Diviner or something is pretty nice, or your Seafloor Stalker. So not a super high pick, but look out for it if you're in this archetype. Might of Marasa, conditional kind of card. Pump spell can end a game out of nowhere. If you really care about casting kicked spells, then you're going to be more inclined to play this one. And what else we got? Seafloor Stalker. This is going to be better in a Party Matters deck or a Rogues deck or something, but still totally reasonable. 3 mana 2/3, and then later in the game it can't be blocked. Pretty nice one. So you can pick this up if you need 3s. And in the 4-drop slot, we've got Canopy Baloth, just big stats, landfall. And Cascade Seer is probably the one I'm least interested in, but still reasonable stat line. You might scry a couple. If you've got some wizard synergies going on, you may be a little bit more interested in playing this one. And then, of course, Turntimber Ascetic, 5 mana 5/4, gain 3 life. Totally fine card, but you're not really super interested in it. And Kazandu Stopper, 6 mana 6/5 trample, just big. If you've got some ramp cards and stuff like that, then you're pretty into this one. And if you've got some double-faced lands, this can pick those up and put them back into your hand as spells. So, lower picks, but can certainly make your deck. And one other card I think I forgot. Reclaim the Wastes, yes. So another sort of tier 2-ish card. If you're splashing, obviously this is pretty useful. To kick it at 4 mana and draw 2 lands is not, that important for this deck, I don't think, but again, almost always I think will make your deck unless you have a plethora of the tier 1 cards. And then in terms of uncommons, you don't really need any. I mean, this is a game plan right here with just the commons, but some notable ones to talk about, of course, Roost of Drakes as your sort of build around kicker payoff. I don't know how often you would want to play this at 1 mana, but for 2 blue, you get a 2/2 Drake, and then for every kicked spell you cast after that, you get an extra 2/2 Drake. Again, so many good kicker cards just at common that you're going to want to pick up. So this card's super, super powerful, and people are already aware of this. So pick this highly, and I mean, even if you don't have a blue-green per se, it's a lot of good kicker in blue. And this card will perform really well for you. Vine Gecko, I almost overlooked this in one of my drafts. 2 mana 2/2, adds mana for you for your first kick spell every turn, and grows as you cast kicked spells. So, pretty obvious where this is supposed to go. So take it highly, put it in this deck. It's going to be great. This one might be getting overlooked by some people. Relic Amulet, 2 mana artifact. Whenever you cast an instant, sorcery, or wizard spell, it gets a charge counter. You can pay 2 and tap it, remove all the charge counters from it, and deal that much damage to target creature. So, I mean, I had games where I was picking off X1 creatures, X2 creatures every turn or every other turn with this card, and it completely took over the game. And as you can see, you've got a lot of good spells here. Into the Royal, Wizard, Tazim Royal Mage, Rabid Bite as a spell, Might of Marasa if you're playing that, Geyser Mage as a wizard, Field Research as a spell, Cascade Seer if you're playing it, Diviner as a wizard, Visionary as a wizard, all at common. So it's actually quite easy to get counters on this card, and this can really take over the game. So don't sleep on this one. Blue's got a lot of wizards, and this archetype picks up a lot of wizards as well. Colony Ambush, just a solid removal spell. You should always take this card. This is the best green uncommon, and if you're in green, never pass this. It's absurdly good. Marasa's Sproutling. This can return a creature to your hand. This is 3 mana 3/3. The kicker of 1 and a green. If it was kicked when it enters the battlefield, return a card with a kicker ability from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, this can get creatures back. This can get a Royal Mage back. This can get a Gnarlid Colony out of your graveyard, and of course it can also return great spells like Into the Roil. So very, very powerful, and its floor of 3 mana 3/3 is quite reasonable, so this is a very powerful card. Lowell Mage is familiar. The 1 green-blue for a 2/4 taps for a green or blue and gains you 2 life whenever you cast a kick spell. Probably not going to be a high pick unless this deck is so powerful that it's head and shoulders above the rest of the format, just because you don't want to start in 2 colors, but... if you're deep in blue and you find yourself with a handful of kicked cards and you see this, 5th or 6th pick, or you open it pack 2, snap it up and start moving into this deck. Umara Wizard, best blue uncommon, never passed this. And Lowell Mage's Domination, maybe looks a little expensive. I wasn't super psyched about it, but the fact that you can pick up a bunch of Royal Mages and return this to your hand multiple times is quite gross. So I actually think this card is a bunch better than I did originally, and I do think it's a high pick. So I think the way you're going to end up drafting this deck is starting out in blue, because blue, I believe, is the best color. And all of its best commons, Royal Mage, Bubble Snare, Geyser Mage, all Riptide, all have Kicker or care about Kicker. You're going to end up with a handful of those, and then maybe you get past a Gnarlid Colony or something, and you're like, okay, I'm going to move into green. And you end up with your blue-green deck. I mean, there's just so much depth here. Alternatively, you could start with a powerful uncommon, like a Sproutling that's like, if you don't get there on the kicker thing, that's okay. It still probably makes your deck as a 3 mana 3/3. That sometimes gets back like your one of Colony or something. And then you just move into it from there. So I think, drafting blue or green is really going to incentivize you to lean in the kicker direction. I think it's a really powerful archetype, and good luck with drafting it. I think it's going to do really well for you. If you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear what you guys think. Just throw them in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, you can support me by following me on YouTube or at twitch.tv/alromusic. And also, you can check out my Zendikar Rising tier list, which is linked in the description below. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.